You gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. You look good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo on a Tuesday here in the Quad Cities. Tuesday, June 3rd. Hopefully everyone had a good weekend. Of course, no show yesterday. A good reason for no show. The John Deere Classic Media Day in full swing out at Deer Run, and a lot of interesting news to get to with that. So a good reason to not have a show yesterday. It wasn't really a 3-day weekend for me because I was working, I guess, if you call golfing at Deer Run. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So first and foremost, thank you for joining us. If you're watching us live on YouTube, thank you. If you have not subscribed, please do so ASAP. And if you have, tell a friend or two or 10 or 20 or 100 about what we're doing each and every day here in the Quad Cities Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. We are live on X. X has been very, very good to us. And then, of course, we are in podcasting platform as well. So if you want to listen to the show and not look at me and wait till you see my first guest, trust me, the audio format is the best format for today because we have a lot to get to and we're not good looking. That's for sure. So coming up, I do want to mention later in the show at 11 a.m., former Hawkeye basketball standout Sydney Affolter and now grad assistant, just announced that a few weeks ago. She'll join us, Sydney Affolter, coming up around 11 o'clock as well. But we mentioned a huge day for the John Deere Classic on Media Day, not just talking to the champion and all those kind of things, but it was announced yesterday, the partnership between John Deere, the PGA Tour and the John Deere Classic continuing through 2030. We're going to break all that down with Craig DeVrieze coming up in a matter of moments, so make sure you stick and stay. A lot of good news when it comes to golf right here in the Quad Cities. So you got Sydney Affolter, Craig DeVrieze, and then in between the two, Nicholas Partick from Alleman capped off his 4th straight state tennis championship, an undefeated high school career. He's heading to Notre Dame, but before he does that, he chats with us right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. So a full show to get to coming up right here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities. A couple quick notes from the weekend and even from yesterday. Congratulations to the Sterling Newman baseball team. They're heading back to state with a 5-1 victory over Hope. So they'll play on Friday against Teutopolis at 7 p.m. And then congratulations to Fulton. Their season came to an end in the Elite Eight, but an amazing season for the Fulton Steamers yesterday as well. So a lot to get to on today's show, as we mentioned, and we're going to start with some golf because it was a very busy Monday. And I knew it would be a busy Monday, but I didn't realize it would be as busy as it was. So joining us now, a good friend of mine and an old retired guy too. Craig DeVrieze making his second appearance on the show.
I am the embodiment of grizzled old sports writer.
If you look up grizzled old sports writer in the dictionary, Craig's picture is actually in it.
Yep. I replaced probably Nolan Hurd in that capacity. Don Doxey doesn't live in the Quad Cities anymore. Cooper could give me a run.
Does Don not live here anymore?
He moved to Cedar Rapids. That's where his daughter's at. Yeah.
Okay, well that makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense. Thanks for coming in. Hopefully the drive wasn't too bad. Andrew Lehman tried to scare him away yesterday by saying it was like this Iowa City drive, probably longer than you expected, though.
A little bit longer, but, I lived in Milan for quite a long time, just down from Old Oaks. I used to ride my bike out here.
Okay.
Yeah, back when I could ride a bike.
So just last year, right? A couple years ago.
Yeah, no, it was more like, several decades ago.
We got so much to talk about. When it comes to the John Deere Classic, I went out there yesterday expecting to talk to Davis Thompson and like have a good round of golf. Thank you to Andrew Lehman, Todd Hyduke, and everybody out at the John Deere Classic and Deere Run for letting us, hit the ball around and ruin their course before they pros come in.
And they do it in early June so the course can recover.
How'd you hit it?
I hit it pretty awful.
That's okay. But were you golfing?
Oh, yeah.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
I golfed with, I got to get this out of the way. I golfed with Claire Peterson, Todd Hyduke, the general manager out at Deere Run, and then my buddy Scott Weiss. Claire Peterson was amazing. I mean, he golfed. He's 72, he told me. He said he recently just broke 70, and he was outstanding. And as good as Claire was, because we were playing best ball for fun, Todd would make the next shot even better. So both, I got to give credit to those guys. We shot 13 under.
That's amazing.
And it wasn't because of me and Wheezy, although we made some putts, but they let us make the easy putts. But anyways, enough about our game. What did you come out to Deere Run expecting yesterday?
I expected what we heard, and I was really pleased to hear it because I just tripped across a nugget. They were buying new rope. The head of marshals told me in a just off-brand conversation, just at walking out of a doctor's office. So I put two and two together because I learned a thing or two over 40 years of being a sports writer. Was it 50? I'd lost track. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. My brain still processes some things, although I have to say, retirement brain made me forget to bring cigars as I promised today. So.
I did get that, because I talked to Andrew today, and he said that he had a cigar in his office, I think, or he found one. You left him a cigar.
It for him, yeah.
And I even said to him, I said, Craig's bringing his cigars today. That means I got to have him on again. He knows what he's doing.
Exactly.
Well,
you have to come to my office during John Deere Classic Week.
What's your office in John Deere Classic Week?
It's right outside the media center.
I knew that. I am actually, and Andrew's probably watching this, I got to figure out my John Deere Classic Week because I want to do the show from out there. So I got to find a little area to stay out of the way and do that kind of stuff. So I figured I could take over Andrew's office, the Stonehouse.
That's ambitious.
No, I don't think. I'm just saying that to get him to laugh, and he's probably texting me as we speak, like, stay away. It's a big deal.
It's a huge deal, yeah.
And talk. I mean, yes, obviously, from the outside looking in, like John Deere and stability till 2030. I think that's kind of obvious, but talk more about it because you and I talked afterwards. This is a bigger deal than I think some people even realize, and people know it's a big deal.
Well, as you may know, I wrote this book.
It's an outstanding read.
In 2020 was supposed to be the 50th anniversary, and to celebrate the anniversary of the John Deere Classic, it was I had the support of Claire Peterson and Bill Becker at John Deere in putting that story together. An amazing story it was. But at that point, COVID hit. So we pushed to 2021 for the 50th anniversary. And as the 50th anniversary, that tournament was coming up, Liv jumped onto the scene. and put everything in a blender, and nobody knew what was going to happen. A year later, the signature events were proposed. The framework agreement was announced. Nobody knew really what the impact of Live and these really, these $20 million tournaments was going to be on the little guys like the John Deere Classic. Ultimately, Peter Malnati told me in 2022, I believe, that he's on the advisory board, that the tour showed him a model that said the bigger events were going to actually drive the fields for the smaller events by creating an on-ramp for players to get into these big events, and subsequently to get into the FedEx Cup, to get into to hold on to their card. Now coming up next year is going to be 100 years, or it's going to be only the top 100 as opposed to the top 125, and that's a really big deal. And when you're the third to last tournament on the schedule, on the FedEx Cup schedule, to get in that top 50 for the FedEx Cup and to get your card secured for the following year, that means a lot. And so what happened? Everything that the tour predicted would happen did happen, including they basically have kicked Liv's ass, if I can say that on TV, on YouTube TV.
Isn't it beautiful? You can even add an expletive in front of it if you want.
Yeah, they have kicked Liv's effing ass. It's terrific. The framework agreement, what nobody points out is that the framework agreement, what it did, it shut down all the lawsuits. Patrick Reed went the F away. Justine Reed went away.
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff. All the lawsuits, Phil Mickelson had a lawsuit. Those lawsuits were the biggest threat to the PGA Tour's survival, because the Saudi PIF fund has enough money to have kept those lawsuits alive and in court for perpetuity. Lawyers were going to make millions and millions and billions, and it probably would have broke the tour.
Yeah.
The way things broke is the tour won. Basically, Liv is over there. They can either bring them in or not. The way Scotty put it a couple weeks ago when he said, "Go talk to them."
Yeah.
Was perfect. So anyway, we've seen the benefit the last couple of years. Last year, I think the field was the deepest field that they've had. So magic continues to happen now with yesterday's announcement. I mean, it's just a really just a great thing that Deere is going to be involved through 2030. That's basically covers John May's the rest of John May's term as the CEO and chair, and it means he's on board. It means he recognizes how good this tournament is for Deere's brand, how strong they have continued to grow their means of leveraging this tournament. There's not a better, more symbiotic sponsor tournament relationship that exists on the PGA Tour than the one that happens right here. Partially for the reason that we're one of the smallest events on tour, one of the smallest communities on tour, and we have our corporate sponsor, a Fortune 100 company, right here, 2 miles from where the tournament takes place. As Kim Huffam, the former tournament director, points out, who went to Wachovia down at Quail Hollow, which hosted the PGA Championship a couple weeks ago, and as he pointed out when I talked to him in advance of the publication of the book, he said, you just don't have that working for you anywhere else on tour, and that's magic happening again.
And I want you said again, and you can read about it in the book, but it's not the same as before, but this was another kind of crossroads for golf here in the Quad Cities, and you recap and give a great story of the first crossroads of golf in the Quad Cities when Deere finally jumped on board the first time.
That's not the first crossroads.
Yeah, that's true too. Because I'll take it back because I can remember.
Yeah, it goes all the way back to Ed McMahon and the JCs.
Yeah, and I remember when I was at WQAD about there being a meeting upstairs in our conference room, and it was almost dead 40 years ago.
Yeah.
But anyways, one of the big ones when it involves Deere was when Deere got on board. And that was a great story as well, because it shows what Deere has been able to do to this event. And now we know we get it for the next, whatever years, 5 more years, or for sure.
Yeah.
All those kind of things as well. Deere has embraced it so well.
They have. Yeah, and it's an amazing that was pivotal. The tournament was dead. In 1995, D.A. Weibring won the only 3-round tournament in the history of the John Deere Classic because it snowed on Thursday.
Wow.
Yeah, it was late September, snowed, and they couldn't play golf. The only 3-round tournament. Nobody on the grounds on Sunday when D.A. rolls in a putt that drops into the hole because it had mud on it on the correct side. I remember walking away from that night after writing all my stories. No, that was the year before Tiger.
Okay, because Tiger's 97.
Tiger's 96.
96, and this is 95. Okay, go ahead.
I remember walking away, looking back at the whole infrastructure at Oakwood, which had grown into something much better than it was when it was really a mom and pop back in the JC's years of 1975. But anyway, walking away from that, like I had walked away from would ultimately walk away from the Quad City Thunder's last game thinking, man, this could be it. And it was. Walking away from the Steamwheelers' last game thinking this could be it. And it was. And I really felt like that might be the last time I packed my bag and filed a story about the tournament and walked away after starting in 1984 with the Dispatch. But what happened was a conversation that they knew it was a dire situation. They talked to Duke Butler, who was the vice president for tournament relations, basically dealing with all the tournaments, and he said, "We've got our finger on the pulse of the Quad City Classic, which is what it was at that time, and it's not very strong." Kim Huffman had just come on board as tournament director. He said, "Duke, what do we do?" And Duke said, "We go to Deere." They sat down with John Deere. Claire Peterson was there. Bill Plunkett was there, and Bob Combs was there. 3 high profile, high level people in the Deere strata. And Duke said they talked a little bit about, hey, we know what you want us to do this. And Deere at that point was the presenting sponsor. They had contributed $100 million to the previous year's event. There was a plan in place where they had hoped maybe an Alcoa and somebody else in the community would step up, and they would have that little bit of support that would keep the tournament going and be able to fund the purse. But Deere alone stood up, and by May of the following year, they still were the only presenting sponsor. So that wasn't going to work. The pulse wasn't very strong. As Duke Butler said, they sat down over sticky buns, as Duke describes in the book.
Chapter 11 in the book, it's really good.
And it was an amazing meeting, and Deere said, we know you want us to sponsor the tournament. We don't feel like we can do it. If the PGA Tour were to leave the Quad Cities, we'd really have a black eye in the Quad Cities. We'd be the bad guys because we had lost the golf tournament. And so we really appreciate you coming in. They stood up. They were dismissing me.
It was done.
Butler said, and he said, well, I can think of a couple of reasons why that doesn't have to happen. He proposed a TPC course here, and he proposed, which it still amazes me that nobody went into that meeting thinking about this.
Yeah.
He proposed an equipment deal with John Deere's fledgling golf and turf division that would make them at that point, they would be the official equipment supplier of the PGA Tour. And John Deere said, oh, well, you want to sit down? We'll talk about this a little bit more. And it all came together, just amazing. Coincidental to that, there was a meeting in the dining room at Oakwood on the Wednesday of the 1996 tournament, which was the most well-attended Pro-Am ever, and that's going back to Bob Hope and Jerry Lewis. And the reason for that was because Tiger Woods was making his third professional start on the PGA Tour, and really just a buzz. And then it blew up the following couple of days when Tiger took the lead and probably should have won. Quad City, as they say. But the meeting that Wednesday was with D.A. Weibring and Bob Combs and somebody from the PGA Tour, and D.A. said, "Hey, my partner in D.A. and Weibring Design visited this property with Short Hills, which at the time was thinking about building a new golf course, called Friendship Farms, which was owned by the Hewitt family and was actually for sale." So anyway, it all came together. Magic happened.
Yeah.
And they built a beautiful golf course on 388 acres with no housing, and property that Vernon Kelly, who was the head of the TPC network at the time, said was as good as any property that he had seen anywhere.
Wow.
And so, this the whole thing comes together. Beyond that, the main reason that the equipment, the golf and turf equipment piece, drove this thing to completion was that Deere was only looking, because Deere is a Fortune 100 company for a reason. They were looking for a good, sound business reason to do this, to take on this sponsorship. So they did, and they built this. They helped the tour build this golf course using Deere equipment and honestly Deere money. And what they've done with it subsequent to that, they found a zillion good business reasons, to continue this relationship for going on what's going to be in 1930. What is it going to be? 63.
Yeah, don't make me do math.
They started in 2000, so it'll be 30 years.
30 years. Yeah.
Wow. Well, they started in 1998, so it'll be 32. They
Soon.
started at Deere Run in 2000. So amazing.
Yeah, and that's, I think people need to realize how big of a deal it was yesterday, which is really cool to know and be able to do. I want to talk a little bit more about recent stuff when it comes to the field, because you mentioned, and we've had Andrew on. I think we had Andrew on Friday when he was talking about exemptions and last year's field, and you just mentioned it was one of the best in 2 decades, maybe ever, one of the deepest.
Certainly the deepest ever.
Yeah.
I mean, at the top. Because Jordan was here was huge. You didn't have the top 20, but what you had 30 through 100 that was just deep. They just kept you kept going down the list. Oh, he's here. Ultimately one of those guys was Davis Thompson, and he comes in and he wins the thing. It's just been and it has really. The tour ran the numbers. They ran the model, and they proposed this these signature events with the understanding. And Peter Malnati ran for the advisory board for the specific reason of representing the tour journeyman and the small events like the Quad Cities on the tour. Loved the event. And so he mentioned to me in a talk that the tour had really made a compelling case that this would drive fields beyond the signature events, and it has. So that I think has really made a difference. But also to John May's credit and to John Deere's credit, they created the Concert on the Course event to really punch new energy into Saturdays and Sundays, and it really, really has.
The visual.
That's what it's all
huge.
about. It's all about TV, and as long as John Deere and the John Deere Classic have CBS coming to cover this event and to share it in 260 countries nationwide, along with the Golf Channel, worldwide.
Yeah.
It just really works for the John Deere brand. And, I sat down before we published the book with the representative of the golf and turf division in Europe. And he talked about St. Andrews had brought John Deere in to talk about an equipment deal that ultimately didn't happen. But they're really, the fact that it was St. Andrews tells you what you need to know. They are making big inroads, and were at the time into European golf and turf, and they've really grown that division. It's really coming to some. What's funny is I talked to Kenny Edwards, who was the head of that division when they created it, and he basically said, we were not really competing with the Toros and the Jacobsons of the golf world. We were getting on C and B golf courses if we were lucky. And he said, when we started this, we just put tractor tires on lawnmowers.
Yeah.
And that was the golf and turf division. But because it's Deere, it was always going to get better, and it was always going to be have a reason to be competitive. But the tour deal just pushed it over the top. When you're one of the Deere execs told me, when you are the official and then eventually the exclusive equipment provider for the PGA Tour.
It's huge.
That opens a lot of doors, and it has. Yeah. So that's one compelling business reason that has really paid off. And Deere has found myriad. They have branded this thing. They get on national TV, and Deere just continues to grow. And a big piece of this, right before the 50th anniversary, was what they were doing with social media. They were way out in front.
Yeah.
And they used things like the excavator putter and the big driver head to just drive tons of views on social media and grow that social media piece. And a lot of credit goes to Ashley Hansen, as well as to the folks at John Deere and John Deere Marketing. Jennifer Hartman brought a lot of social media skills to that position. But they were really focused, and Claire said, turned them loose, and Mara turned them loose, and they were way out in front on what is clearly the what drives marketing these days. No,
they've done a fantastic job with it. I knew going into yesterday, and Davis Thompson, Andrew gave me the old tee marker with his autograph on it. Fantastic young man, really good, but a quiet guy.
Really quiet.
And I don't know if we got much out of him, and we tried.
I asked him. His wife called him a national treasure.
I don't think he knew.
He didn't know. He didn't read it, and it was on PGAtour.com. I wrote it.
Yeah.
And I said that's got to be a lot of pressure, not on the golf course, but at home.
Yeah. Yeah. And
if you forget to take out the trash, all of a sudden you're not a national treasure anymore.
That's more than just, hey, being a John Deere Classic champion is important. Being a national treasure, that's even more so. Great, and I think a fantastic golfer as well, and a good representation of the John Deere Classic, because yes, he's a little quieter, we know that, but just well spoken when he speaks, and like a good representation of what the Quad Cities is.
Yeah, I took some grief from Dan Tomlin, who everybody who has ever met Dan Tomlin takes grief from, about suggesting this guy was the next big thing. Not really. I didn't suggest it. Brendan Todd did.
Yeah.
Zach Johnson did, and he could still be, because he hasn't had a great year this year. He's been on some leaderboards, and he's in the top 50 in the world, and so he's playing in the U.S. Open in a couple of weeks. But you could have said the same thing about a guy named Sepp Straka a year ago, and now look where he is. He's number 3 in the FedEx Cup standings, top 5 in the world, and probably coming to the John Deere Classic, which Davis Thompson let slip yesterday, which is great.
And of course, you picked up on it real fast.
Yeah.
Real fast.
Oh, yeah.
So
right.
As the trained, grizzled professional, what's your storyline going into this year? I know we got a month left, and there's other editions are going to be had and all that kind of stuff, but do you have a storyline or a headline? What are the things that you're looking forward to the most when it comes to, what, a month away? Yeah, a month away right now.
Yeah, does the magic continue? I mean, does the energy continue? I think, we had there's not going to be bigger news this year than what we heard yesterday. I think that is just fantastic.
Were you surprised it was yesterday? And they didn't wait closer to it, or
I had a feeling that it might drop yesterday.
Okay.
I think they wanted that they wanted people to know that security existed, and so that they're buying into an event that is ongoing.
And there's no reason to wait.
No.
You know, some would suggest, hey, wait till the week of the John Deere Classic, but there's enough that week. You know what I mean? Like,
I think another piece of this, because actually the CJ Cup down in Dallas made an announcement of an extension yesterday too. So I think it has a lot to do with the tour wanting to get their schedule put together.
Yeah.
And so having that security blanket, although the next year was going to be the final year of a 3-year agreement, but I think it has. I think it had a little bit to do with the timing, in conjunction with what the PGA Tour was doing with its schedule. So I think it's great news. Mara got the questions about can you be a signature event, and maybe that can happen. Likely it won't, and I don't care. I personally do not care. I think it'd be great to have Scotty Scheffler here fighting, Roy McIlroy for $20 million. But what we've got, what I always maintain, I think what the Book Magic happened, the story that it told is we've got a date on the PGA Tour through 2030, and it works for John Deere. It is a great event. It creates a lot of excitement in the Quad Cities, and it's going to go over $200 million in Birdies for Charity funds this year, and that is just the biggest piece of the story.
Yeah.
I mean, Quad Cityans made this happen, made this work through their generosity to Birdies for Charity. Because let's face it, all credit to Steve Jacobs, the Big Bird, who took this thing and made it the concept where the Mary Kay concept, he says, where the charities are out pushing Birdies for Charity, but the generosity of this community to step up and support that and give money to all these 401ks, $200 million over the last 20 years is
mind-boggling.
It is just such a tribute to this great community, and it's a reason people talk about the community and Quad City Nice. I'm not giving Iowa credit for that. This is us. This is us on the Illinois side, and on the Iowa side, and it's people who care about their community. The people who care about this community kept this tournament alive back in 1975 when it was gonna be gone. Back in 1983 when it was gonna be gone. Back in 1984 when it was gonna be gone. Back in 1985 when it was gonna be gone. The volunteers who invest their time in this tournament. And Andrew said, what was the number he said yesterday? 3,200 volunteers, or was it 4,200?
I can't remember. I don't listen to Andrew when he speaks.
Okay.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
And I'll leave you with this. In my opinion, I think you'll agree with me, the John Deere Classic has been and has cemented itself as the best sporting event in our area.
Oh, unquestionably. I give Bix all the credit in the world.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It's in a very, very, golf is a niche sport, but it's on CBS. But Bix is great for what it is, and the way Ed Froelich grew that event is nothing, all the credit in the world. But to have the PGA Tour, this is the big leagues in our community.
Yeah, and do you think when Jordan Spieth's here in 2015 going for that's the biggest story in sports at the time.
It was the biggest story when he won that, and he got on that plane to go try to win a third straight major championship of the first 3 legs of the Grand Slam.
Only to lose to a guy who was also on that plane,
exactly.
Zach Johnson.
By one shot, he missed the playoff by. Yeah,
I know.
And I was pleased when he came back last year to find out that that doesn't grind on him.
Yeah, because there's that. I remember back when Michelle Wee was here, and the media buzz that caused. But you don't
remember when Tiger Woods was here and the media buzz that caused.
Here's what I remember is being at Alleman High School listening to and hearing about it and like wanting to know what's going on and all those kind of things, because it was the biggest thing going on. And we had it like, I remember being in the cafeteria and I don't know if there was a TV on or whatever, but everybody, or the newspapers were out, but everybody was talking about Tiger. It was the biggest thing going, which shows how long ago it was, because I was in high school and you were just a young pup probably. No, you weren't even a young pup.
No, I was a young pup. I was not a young pup. I was a younger sports writer, but I'd been on the beat, the John Deere Classic beat for 12 years.
Yeah.
And like I said, the year before, I walked away thinking that thing was dead. And then on a Friday, never in my experience did they get those kind of crowds on a Friday. But they had literally tens of thousands following Tiger Woods on a Friday, not just Friday, a Friday morning, coming up after he took his first lead on the PGA Tour, coming up the 9th hole at Oakwood, which the 18th hole at Oakwood for the members, but it was the 9th hole on the tournament layout, and it was unbelievable. It was, I said,
was that bigger than 2015? So I think back to 2015 and the first tee box when Jordan got up there on Sunday, and it, usually the tee box got a bunch of people around it, and then the green has a bunch of people. We had a picture. I can't remember if it was like a drone, whatever we were doing, but it was the entire one hole, all the way the fairway and everything, it just packed full of, and this buzz. That's, to me, and I wasn't there for Tiger, that moment was like, wow, this is the biggest thing in the sports world right now. It's here in the Quad Cities.
Yeah, no, especially when because so many people had said he shouldn't have come.
Yes,
he should have been over practicing at St. Andrews, and never forget, he had an opportunity to miss the cut, and he wouldn't let it happen.
No.
I remember just yesterday, I'm standing on the tee at number 17, where I remember on Friday he pulled his drive into the trees and didn't even reach the fairway, and I thought, okay, this is where he goes. Nah, it's not going to happen. No, he hit it up there. He made birdie there. He made birdie from a divot at 18, and he went on to shoot like, I don't know, I think it was 64 or 62. It wasn't 62 because he shot 62 the Sunday, which was his best round of the year, or the Saturday was his best round of his career at the point.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he fired himself back into the tournament, and he didn't give up. He wouldn't give up. And
he gave the rest of the round, the rest of the field a mulligan. He didn't play on Thursday. I mean, and then he won it in basically 3 rounds. It was crazy what he did, the way he did it, and the buzz around it was just awesome. I'll tell you, I was golfing with Claire yesterday. I won't tell all the stories Claire told me, but I asked him, I said, what was the biggest commitment or sigh of relief or like excited that you'd been? And he said, oh, that's easy. It was in 2016 when he won the U.S. Open. And he's 2015. I'm sorry, 2015.
Yeah.
And he had won the U.S. Open, and he was watching on TV, going, he might not come here.
And he said,
and it was like
gonna
3
go
hours later, he got like a text message from his agent that said, we need 3 spots on the plane.
He said it in the news conference at the U.S. Open. They asked him, what's the rest of your schedule going to be? Are you going to go to St. Andrews early? He said, no, I'm going to go get ready at the John Deere Classic like I did
Unreal.
Last year.
He said
he
still gets chills thinking about the fact that here's this guy who's going for a Grand Slam and winning 2 majors already, and he's still going to come to the Quad Cities, which was great. So, Craig, I could talk golf with you all day. The book, and honestly, it's fantastic. Magic happened. Check it out, especially right now with everything that goes on with the John Deere Classic and John Deere and everything that's going on. It's fantastic. We're going to catch up a bunch before the John Deere Classic because I'm going to use the heck out of you as we get ready for the Golf Classic. So thanks for coming out. And next time, bring the cigars.
Yeah, man. Retirement brain is a dangerous thing.
I can believe it. You know,
of all the things I could forget, it's like Foster Brooks forgetting to bring beer, and that's a reference. That shows my age.
Yes.
Google Foster Brooks, kids.
He's Craig DeVrieze. Always appreciate you. Can't wait to see you out at Deer Run again this year. We got a lot more to get to. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk with Nicholas Partick, 4-time state champion at Alleman. And then coming up at 11 o'clock, we'll talk with Sydney Affolter, former Iowa basketball player and now grad assistant for the Iowa women's basketball team. A lot to get to here on a Tuesday right here in the Quad Cities. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak, with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with.
Saturday night, June 14th, the Steamwheelers face off against the Parade in an IFL battle that's going to rock the vibrant arena. And it's Digital Bobblehead Night, presented by XUSD Blockchain. All fans in attendance with an active MetaMask digital wallet will score a limited edition Steamwheelers NFT bobblehead. A one-of-a-kind collectible you can't get anywhere else. High-flying IFL action and digital collectibles? Now that's next-level game night. Grab your tickets now at steamwheelersfootball.com/tickets.
The PGA Tour swings into the Quad Cities again this summer, and you don't want to miss it. The John Deere Classic brings golf, music, magic, and more to TPC Deer Run, July 2nd through the 6th. Wednesday, July 2nd is Youth Day, and ages 15 and under are free all week, making it perfect for the whole family. Stick around after the golf on the weekend for the concerts on the Course Series, featuring country superstar Dierks Bentley on Saturday, and Grammy Award-winning Zac Brown Band on Sunday. Come for the golf, stay for the party. Visit JohnDeereClassic.com to get your tickets before they sell out.
Hey guys, this is former Hawkeye Jake DeVrieze inviting you to the 5th annual Rally for Reed football camp.
Go, run, run, run.
This year's 5th annual Rally for Reed football camp will take place on Friday, June 27th at Jack and Pat Bush Stadium at Davenport Assumption High School. Come learn the game of football from several familiar faces.
1, 2, 3, go, Taco!
All while honoring the life and legacy of Reed Gleason and also raising money for the Rally for Reed Foundation and the continued fight against pediatric cancer. There will also be a spirit camp the same day hosted at St. Ambrose University. To sign up or get involved, check out rallyforeed.org and make a donation or sign up for the camp. Thanks.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities. It was a busy weekend of sports. I was almost mad at myself for taking Monday off, but spent it out at John Deere Classic Media Day because there's a lot to catch up from. And one of the things we have to talk about is something that's become a tradition. It's a 4-time tradition to welcome Nicholas Partick onto the show as a state champion, a state tennis champion in Illinois for the 4th straight year. Now, Nicholas, it's been a few days. Are you used to hearing that? And when you hear that, what goes through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you ever quite, get used to it completely. It's an honor to have it being, brought upon me. It started to sink in, getting to spend some time with family and friends, but it was just an incredible 4 years and couldn't be more blessed for it.
And I mentioned it last time. We had you on when you got to that 100-0 record, or 100 wins was the main thing, but the fact that it was perfect was even better. And I mentioned because it flew by for me. I can remember covering you as a freshman and always so energetic. And what I loved at that point is that you were you're almost, and I maybe still today, you're just as proud to be an Alleman Pioneer as you were to be going to state back then, or maybe even now as a state champion. Kind of talk about that, because I can remember the energetic young freshman just excited to carry the flag for his school. Was that the same as a senior?
Absolutely. I think there's some things that never change. And one of those things are, my love for Alleman High School. And, like you mentioned, it's flown by. And it seems like just yesterday I was a freshman, kind of young and curious about what Alleman tennis had to offer. And, God willing, looking back and having four state titles under my belt, that pride remains the same. And when you're up there and you have so much crowd support from everyone here in the Quad Cities, it's kind of a simple reminder of how much we all love each other here. And it's just the best decision I could have made going to Alleman, and could not be more grateful for all the memories.
Now, I got to be honest with you. I was looking ahead to this week, last week, at like what I want to do show wise. And I'm like, oh, I'll have Nicholas on to talk about his fourth straight state championship. And that was before you even got probably to state. So I can do that because I'm a knucklehead media guy that can put cart ahead of horse. What was it like for you? Because I wasn't alone. A lot of people almost expected this. What was it like for you? Because the expectations for a high school athlete that I've covered in 25 years, I don't think there was any higher expectations than maybe what you had this season and this past weekend.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. But with expectations, I think it's kind of a slippery slope sometimes. This sport, the margins are so slim, you can't expect anything. So I knew that going in. It was an absolute honor to have all these possibilities. The second person to do this undefeated, third person to do it for. But at the end of the day, I was just going to go out there and play tennis. That's really all I do. I was going to go out there and do everything to the best of my abilities, and God willing, anything that came with it is just kind of additional prize. But I mean, a lot of nerves, a lot of excitement for it. But I just tried to recognize that, with all the God-given success, is that's what happens. There's expectations that come about. But just dealing with them, and like I said, controlling what I could, doing the things that I can manage, and everything else was out of my hands. And God willing, came back today a state champion.
Was it more of a relief, an excitement, a joy? What were the first emotions like when you are officially a four-time state champion?
Yeah, I mean, it was a battle. It really was. It was a heck of a match. So to get it done, I think there's always that kind of sigh of relief, like, yes. And then, I look over, you can see me in the video. I look over and I see everyone that came out there, and it was just, I was so, so grateful for it. Just the incredible people that decided to make the trip. We talked about this yesterday with my family who decided to be so, so loud and supportive and kind. My girlfriend who took off work to come up. The managers, the teammates, everyone who just decided to come up, take the time out of their day to support me against a very loud and very kind of rowdy crowd for him. But it was just a dream come true. I cannot thank everyone enough.
To do this the way you've done it, and now we can talk about, like, hey, it was an undefeated high school career, and all the first, seconds, and thirds, and all the people and stuff like that. What does it mean to hear those? Because you couldn't talk about it maybe a week ago, but now you can.
Yeah.
And you'll continue to reflect, I think, as you get old like me. But like, what does it mean to hear those kind of things, that you accomplish certain things?
Well, it's incredible. It really is. None of it would have been possible without the people that supported me. But I think one of the biggest things is just playing for a school it means more than just me when I'm out there playing for Alleman tennis. So to bring some recognition back to the Quad Cities and to Alleman, that's the best thing I could ask for, truly. But yeah, to be in the same running with Marty Reeson, who I know was the only other one to go undefeated in 4 years. I mean, he reached number 11 in the world on the Pro Tour. So it's one of those things where it's very exciting. And to be in the talks with the same legends of our sport, it's a privilege, really. There's no other way to say it.
I'm going to ask you to do something that I shouldn't do when it comes to a question, but because I have four kids and you have four state championships. And people shouldn't ask me who's my favorite kid, but I'm going to ask you, do you have a favorite state championship? By the way, my favorite kid is Chase, but go ahead.
I love it. I love it. I appreciate it. No, that's nice. It makes me feel a little better. It's tough. I can remember a lot about all four. My freshman year was when I was kind of new, kind of hungry, didn't know much, didn't really know anybody up there, and got through a lot of pressure. I think that was one of the most nerve-wracking ones. So that's up there for sure. Sophomore year, of course, I lose a set and I have to just battle and scrap and claw. Um, I mean, junior year, again, down 4-1 in a tiebreak, kept a scraw and just fight to come back and eventually, God willing, get it done. And then this year, which looked like a blowout, but really wasn't, I had to work. So honestly, I don't know if I can say there's just different things that I love about all of them. Like I said, freshman year being new and hungry, sophomore year having to just scrap and come back, same as junior year, and then last year to kind of end it in the most, just in the most storybook way I possibly could. I mean, it's hard to not say my senior year. It was a truly, truly a special moment getting it done.
That's my answer too. I take mine back. I love them all separately, and they're all individually. Yeah, they all do different things great and all that kind of stuff as well. Nicholas Partick joining us right now and Off There with Matt Randazzo. I want to talk to you about the future. What's like, and you mentioned I got a few days to or you got a few days to relax a little bit, maybe enjoy some stuff, which probably isn't very often that you do something like that. What's next? First off, what was it like to let everything sink in, spend time with family, maybe take some time off? What was that like the last couple of days?
It was incredible. I couldn't have asked for a better group of people to do it with than my family and Alleman friends. Like I mentioned, there were some special people that came up and supported me, the managers and stuff on my team. We got to go out to eat and we got to hang out after state finals and come home and played pickleball at Riverside that night. So just to kind of come back and just be a normal kid again and just spend time with family and friends these last couple of days, it was incredible.
Okay, 2 questions from that answer. One, what was the celebration dinner? I'm a foodie. Is there a place that you wanted to go? Was it just what was open? Like, what was your thought process when it came to the celebration dinner?
So I don't think anyone would ever possibly guess this, but this was a tradition that started last year after state finals. We went to IKEA, of all places, on the way back, and we just kind of walked around the store, hung out, messed around. It was me and my best friends, Jacob Sherrard, Justin Morrell, and Tyler Wilden. And the 4 of us, we just walked around and had a good time. We went up to the food court down there in the Chicago area of IKEA, of all places. Just a great, great little just fun tradition we started last year and wouldn't have had it any other way, really.
Nicholas, what do you get to eat at the food court in IKEA?
Let's see. I think we kept it simple. I think we just went chicken tenders, fries, garlic toast, and some ice cream. I mean, it was wonderful. It really was.
Obviously,
not a common answer, but yeah,
the dinner of a champion. Like, obviously, that is
something like that.
The other question from that answer is you mentioned playing pickleball at Riverside. Are you okay with pickleball? Some in the tennis community don't like pickleball. You're okay with pickleball?
I mean, yeah, I'll never take it seriously. I really won't. But I mean, I will go out with my friends and my girlfriend all the time and we'll play pickleball. But I'll never, I can't see myself going out and competing or anything. I think it's fun. I really do. I've met so many great people even when I was younger in the pickleball community. But no, I would not consider myself like a pickleball player by any means, but it's a good time. It's a good hobby.
Absolutely. You now got work to do. Talk about what the summer looks like, and then obviously to head to Notre Dame and know it's a dream of yours. Obviously, you're excited to get to South Bend. So what's the summer look like? And it's probably not a very long summer before you start looking at South Bend.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm here for a few more weeks, I think, and then we're gonna probably get down to Carolina for a little while to train for that swing of summer tournaments that we always have down in Florida and then Kalamazoo. I think this is kind of the last summer to give it my all for junior tennis, and then I mean, right to South Bend or mid to late August, and then we're competing for the Fighting Irish. So it's coming up very quick, but I'm also just kind of enjoying my time in the Quad Cities for sure.
I know it's a dream school. You're going to go, you're going to be there. What's it finally like to say you're a graduated senior. You're not an Alleman High School student anymore. You're officially a Notre Dame student. What does it mean to hear that and know that you're heading to that dream school?
It means the world. I was actually talking to one of my assistant coaches about it yesterday. It seems like I've been committed forever. In my mind, I've been committed since I was 9. But to see it really kind of all come together, it's the biggest blessing I could have ever asked for. It was a dream school, and it wouldn't have been made possible without the incredible people that have supported me, my dad, and all the incredible coaches I've had. So to see it all come together it's nothing short of just a miracle to me. Really, I can't wait to get out there and represent them.
And you look at Alleman High School. There's another athlete at Alleman or from Alleman, doing great things at Notre Dame. Just to look at that with Charles, Jugglesall, and yourself, to have two Alleman standouts heading to that university at the highest level, it's got to be exciting. You both have to be proud of having somebody there too that knows the landscape of things, if you will.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Charles is obviously in a very different position than I am, playing just incredibly high level football, and to be able to follow along him and his journey there with the football team, it's incredible. I couldn't be more proud of him and of the football team. So to be able to get there myself and kind of get a feel of what it's like to be a Notre Dame athlete coming from Alleman, it's incredible. It's just kind of that pipeline from Alleman to Notre Dame, and really want to keep that tradition going.
If I said to you, where does Nicholas Partick have to get better to continue having success at the college level, what is it? Like, what's the critique or the area of your game that you want to continue to work at, improve on, and get better?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've really kind of grown into my body on the tennis court. I tried to play more physical tennis, tried to really utilize the weight I've been putting on, but I'm still relatively skinny. I'm about 6'3", but only 170 pounds. So I mean, not terribly skinny, but I'm still a pretty lanky, skinny guy. So I think my first couple months there are going to want to put on some good muscle, become more physical and more kind of dominant on the court. And there's times when I loosen up in matches where I really starts to come out, like even in the state finals, second set, I started taking control, and I won the set 6-0. But at the beginning, when I was a little tentative and a little nervous, it's tough. Everyone's so good there. So really having that driving factor, just kind of playing good, solid physical tennis and controlling the court. I think that's kind of going to be one of my bigger steps forward on the physical side. Of course, there's countless emotional things I can do better. Dealing with pressure, dealing with nerves, and just the moment. But I'd say that's probably one of the biggest things that I can do.
If you want to put more weight on, you keep eating chicken tenders, fries, garlic toast, and ice cream, and it won't be 170 anymore, my friend. Trust me, it won't be 170. You look at you mentioned the mental side of things. How do you calm nerves? How do you, when you're playing for a fourth straight state championship and all eyes are on you, do you have coping mechanisms or ways to deal with pressures, anxieties, all those kinds of things on the court?
Yeah, well, it's truly not just me out there. I try to base my tennis on my faith quite a bit. So there's a lot of prayer going in before. There was a lot of visualization and just kind of mentally trying to calm myself down and get into a place where I feel comfortable. And I knew if I could get it just to be a tennis match, take all the emotions and the extra stuff out of it, I have a very good shot to do well. And God willing, a lot of prayers were said. Not just for the win, but to be wise and to make the right decisions. And one of the coaches that I work with in North Carolina, Bill Belzer, who I've been training with for a while, is big on what we call RPMs, which is release, plan, motivate. So things where I'm going to release kind of the outcome per se, and I'm going to plan on what I'm going to do and then motivate myself. So so just little things like that where I'm going to do breathing, I'm going to take my time, and just kind of accepting that I'm going to control and prepare to the best of my abilities.
Love it. Couple more. I want to do some fun questions. Now, this is my second interview with you recently, so I got to make sure I don't repeat the same fun questions. Do you have a useless talent? And if so, what is it? Is there anything that you do that people don't realize, don't know? Obviously, a very good tennis player. What else are you good at? If you didn't play tennis, not even sports-wise, but like in life-wise, what are you like, hey, I'm good at that?
A useless talent. That's a really good question. Let's see. Ooh. I I really enjoy. So I took a gym class, so I feel like I'm pretty decent at most sports.
Mm-hmm.
Not the best like soccer player, I'd say, but I mean, I love like playing football. I love playing baseball. So anything like that. I'd say I'm pretty flexible. I think that comes as a surprise to a lot of people. I
Okay.
do a lot of like stretching routines, so I can do the splits pretty easily.
Okay.
That's kind of a funny one that we always joke about, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. If you could have a superpower, any superpower, what would you pick and why?
Ooh, superpower. I think time travel would be pretty cool, to be able to go to the past, or the future, and just to kind of see what's going on. I'd love to be able to. It's kind of a funny thing. I'd love to be able to like go and just see my younger self, talk to like have a conversation with my younger self. Kind of, but when I was tennis related specifically,
Yeah.
had a lot of goals when I was younger. So I think that would be pretty incredible to have a talk with my younger self.
It's funny you said that, because my next question is, if you could tell your younger self anything, what would it be? Literally on my so maybe your talent is you see the future, or you can see my questions.
That's right.
You mentioned that conversation you'd love to have. What would you tell young Nicholas Partick about what's to come, or whatever? What would you say if you could talk to a younger you?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that I would just tell myself to remain faithful. There's lots of peaks and valleys on the journey. There's going to be a lot of highs and lows, but just to remain faithful and remain grounded. I think that's the biggest thing, is that there's times where I look back and I'm so proud of my younger self for not giving up when I could have, or maybe, not making excuses or copping out. Just kind of willing to kind of put your head down and getting to work. And I think that's been a big thing that I'm really grateful for my younger self for. And yeah, like I said, just to remain faithful in God and to stay grounded. Yeah.
Love it. Last one for you. What's the coolest contact in your phone?
Ooh, coolest contact in my phone.
Is there any? Is there with the tennis world or anything like that? Do you have a cool contact in your phone?
Cool contact. Well, I think during recruiting it was pretty awesome for me, being a big college tennis fan, having all the different coaches that I got to talk to. So of course, my Notre Dame head coach was one of the coaches that I really wanted to meet and obviously get to be recruited by. So that was incredible. I don't know if I have Madison's contact directly, but have definitely been, obviously in contact with her and met her several times. So yeah, I'd say one of those, either my Notre Dame head coach or just all the different coaches that I got to meet over recruiting. There's some legends of the game, and yeah, it was awesome.
All right, last one for you. Not a fun question, but just in general. And you mentioned Madison. Obviously, we talked about the last time we had an interview about what she's done. But that's when you think tennis in the Quad Cities, Madison Keys comes to mind. How cool would it be to follow in those footsteps and to have Nicholas Partick's name be one of the next Quad Cityans that do big things in tennis? That thought process. Don't put cart ahead of horse too much, but obviously she laid the groundwork for where people like yourself and others here in the Quad Cities can go to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so incredibly proud of Madison, and the fact that she's put Rock Island and the whole Quad Cities on the map in the tennis world is just incredible. So to be able to do the same thing, that's the biggest thing I've learned, is just representing something bigger than yourself. It's amazing, God willing, that I've been able to win, for my own self, but to be able to do it for Alleman and the Quad Cities, that's one of the biggest things I'm going to remember. Is no matter how far I go, hopefully very far, not to forget where I came from and all the love and support here. So just like Madison has, I'd love to be able to stay humble and hopefully find some success on the tennis court.
Nicholas, I talked to you as a freshman, and people were coming to me like, hey, there's a kid at Alleman who's really good at tennis. And I remember doing that interview and getting done going, he's good at these interviews. And that's not always the case, especially as a freshman. Really enjoyed our conversations, really enjoyed our interviews. Super proud of you. 4 straight state championships. Best of luck at Notre Dame. Stay healthy. Stay in touch. All those things. I'm sure we will. And I'm proud of you. Absolutely. Good luck at the next level. And enjoy those 4 state championships.
Will do. Thank you so much for everything. I really appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Awesome. That is Nicholas Partick, the 4-time state champion for the Alleman Pioneers. Played his entire high school career without losing a match. Awesome stuff. Best of luck to him at Notre Dame. We got a lot more to get to. Coming up next on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, we'll be joined by former Hawkeye and now grad assistant coach, Sydney Affolter. Next, right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West. the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
You from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a rainy looking Tuesday in the Quad Cities. A storm coming into the Quad Cities, but it's a good reason to stay inside, check out the show, and talk a little women's basketball, because excited to be joined by my next guest, former Hawkeye and now coach at the University of Iowa, Sydney Affolter, joining me right now. Sydney, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
To introduce you as a former Hawkeye and now a grad assistant is probably different. When you hear that, kind of what goes through your mind?
It is a little weird for sure, just knowing, I mean, obviously I've been a player for 4 years and transitioning to the coaching side of things. It's interesting, but I'm really excited.
Okay, tell us how this all happens. I don't know if obviously coaching is in your future, something you're interested in, but how does this all go down? How does it line up? And obviously you got to be thrilled to stay in a program that you've loved for so long and given to you as well.
Yeah, obviously this program means the world to me. I love it. And, I love Iowa City itself, and just the support that this team gets is unreal. So I'm really excited to still be part of it. And me and Jan had a couple conversations throughout the season, and, we circled back once the season was over and, knew that would be an option for me. So I'm really glad that she wants to have me, and I'm excited.
Have you always had coaching in your thoughts, or when was that kind of developed where, you'd love to give back to the game that's obviously given you a ton as well?
I have always really wanted to coach. My dad has been my coach since I was a little girl, and, he coached me in elementary school and then high school and also travel basketball. So, he's definitely a big role model for me in my life, and I think he really sparked my interest in wanting to coach.
Okay, so what kind of coach is Sydney Affolter going to be? You look at you, I mean, you're smiling from ear to ear. You're as nice as can be, but we've seen the competitive side of you on the basketball court. Where do you fit when it comes to coach?
Yeah, I think, my style of play may reflect a lot of my coaching. I'm definitely all about hustle and hard work and leave it all out on the floor. And, the more you work and your time will come. So just putting in the work before, the spotlight comes is super important.
I want to talk to you about your Iowa career here in a second, but before I do, I tried to line up this interview last week, and Bailey told me she's not in the country. I heard you had a nice little vacation. Tell me about the vacation. Was that a graduation present? Something you always wanted to do? And what was it like traveling abroad and having some fun, I'm sure?
Yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun. Some of my girlfriends from home in Chicago, and Kylie actually came with. I invited her. But yeah, I mean, going into my junior year, we went to Italy and Croatia, and I loved it. And it was so much fun. And I was hoping I would be able to go back and, explore some different parts of the world. So, there wasn't a better time to do it. I had that time from graduation till when I'm starting this summer for grad assisting in I thought that I wouldn't really have that time again. It was perfect timing for all of us graduating college, and we went to 5 different countries in 2 weeks. So
That's awesome. What was the favorite country?
I really liked Switzerland a lot. We started there and then we ended in London, and those were probably my 2 favorites.
Look at you. So now I'm super old, but like when I got out of college, me and 4 buddies had this goal of seeing every baseball stadium in the country. So we had a plan to go out east and a plan to go out west. And then we realized we had to work, we had to make money, we had to be adults, and then we didn't get a chance to do it. So super envious of you doing that. Capping off your senior year, when you look back at this past season, so many, I don't want to say question marks, but so many unknowns coming in with, players that had left, some players that had came in like Lucy, a new coaching staff, but not really a new coaching staff because they were familiar, but Lisa not being there. How would you reflect on your senior season when you look back at it as a whole?
Like you said, obviously there was a lot of change. The kind of the era with Caitlin, that was coming to a close, and I was so grateful and blessed to be part of it. And then once her and the seniors left, as well as Coach Bluter, like you said, it was kind of cool to be on 2 different sides of it. I got to experience it with all of them, and then also, as a senior and a captain, experience it without them and kind of take on a much bigger role with Jan. And I thought she did a great job. It was an awesome season. A lot of growing pains, but also just so much success. And we had such a great time, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. 2
very good coaches, amazing coaches, but different, maybe. I know they're a lot alike, probably. What was the biggest difference between Coach Bluter and Coach Jensen when it came to during the season, game days, prep, all those kind of things?
I honestly, I feel like a lot of people continuously said oh, it's going to be so different, like Jan and Bluter, but they really prepped the same way. I didn't really feel much of a difference or much of a transition, which was honestly nice. Being there for 3 years, not much had changed. So, maybe Jan's a little bit more lighthearted, or I wouldn't say nicer, but I don't know. She's definitely a talker, so maybe she would continue talking a little bit longer than Bluter. That's about it.
I love it. Hey, there was a time this season where you made the move to the 4, and it went well. Can you take me through that decision, thought process? And obviously it paid dividends during the season.
Yeah, it wasn't, I would say, necessarily about me moving to the 4. I think we were having struggles with our lineup, with Hannah being at the 4 and I was at the 3. We just needed to move some pieces around, and we thought that Hannah was more successful at the 5, which would allow us all to be more successful in our position. So, it was a tough rotation for some, but ultimately that was what was best for the team. And I think we all started to play better. I was definitely undersized at the 4, but with Hannah at the 5, we were all undersized. So you just got to work a little bit harder, but it was good. Obviously it was the best decision.
Absolutely. Sydney Affolter joining me right now and off the air with Matt Randazzo. Sydney, you guys had a struggle during the season this past season, and there was a lull in I want to say a 5-game losing streak, maybe 7. I can't remember exactly what it was. We don't want to dwell on that. But what was it that got you guys going in the right direction? Because I'll argue with anybody that in the last month of the season, the Iowa women's basketball team was one of the, if not the best team in the Big Ten in the country. You guys were playing at such a high level. What flipped the switch, or what changed from maybe that lull in the middle of the season to how you guys finished the year?
Yeah, kind of like you said, changing the starting lineup was honestly really crucial. Whether I am a 3 or a 4 player, it was more of, how are we going to create more looks for everyone else on the team as well. And, with Addie at the 5 and Hannah at the 4, the lane was pretty clogged. So it was hard to, create drives or drive and kick. So I think that was honestly the biggest thing. And then once I played at the 4, could also shoot the ball as a 4, and that's kind of what our system has been in the past. So, I think it opened up a lot more opportunities for people, and it was just starting to click a lot better.
Absolutely. You get this transfer from Villanova named Lucy, and nobody knew how she was going to fit in. Everybody knew she was good. And it just seemed to fit right, especially second half of the season, moving in the postseason. When was it with her? Or was there a time where you guys that she clicked, and obviously it was something pretty special towards the end of the year?
Yeah, she's awesome. I mean, she's not a hard person to get along with, first and foremost, but she's also just a great player, and she worked extremely hard from the beginning. So, I think everyone really respected that out of her. But, in the summer we scrimmaged a lot together, and the more we played together, the more we got that connection going. But I think it just obviously took some time, like obviously for her coming to a brand new team, but for all of us, like we were all taking on bigger roles without, Caitlin and Kate and Gabby. There was a lot more expected out of us that we've played with them for so long. So it was definitely a transition for us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned those former players and Caitlin, especially. What was you can tell grandkids that you played in 2 national championship games with Caitlin Clark. What was that experience like? Not just with her, but I'm not embellishing or anything. I've talked with Chad Leistico about it. You guys were kind of like the Beatles for a little while, like everywhere you went and the crowds followed and all that. You're smiling, but you guys were rock stars. What was that like to be a rock star and be like the Beatles? I'm probably making myself too old. You know the Beatles, right?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
It was pretty surreal. I think, just that group of girls was so special, and we are truly so close of friends, and I think we will be friends forever. So being able to do it with girls that you truly enjoy being around, and not just playing with, obviously, but just being in their presence. It was special getting to do that with them, and the recognition that we got, it was very well deserved. We worked extremely hard, but it was pretty cool seeing the following that we got and the support that we got. It meant a lot, and I definitely will never forget that. All 4 years were so special.
What was Caitlin and even Kate and even Gabby, but what were they like in practice? Was Caitlin Clark as competitive in practice as we see each and every night out?
Yeah, probably more, honestly. She is extremely fiery, and I think in practice, that's where obviously you get so much better, but she's pushing all of us to be better. So if you weren't practicing at your best, she definitely would let you know. But that was good. You need someone like that to make everyone on the team that much better.
Did you ever get the best of her in practice, in a shootout, in anything that you can tell us? Any secret story or anything that you edged Caitlin Clark in this or that? In dominoes, in Uno, in checkers, in anything?
I have no idea. I just know that she's probably the most competitive person I've ever met. Like even playing like a board game or cards on the road or anything, like she was wanting to win. And if she didn't, we were going to play again.
Seeing these ladies in the WNBA and being a Hawkeye and seeing Lucy and seeing Kate and Caitlin, obviously, and Megan, like the University of Iowa is well represented at the highest level of women's basketball. That's something you've got to be proud of. And now still part of a program as a coaching staff. That's something that you guys probably tout and make sure people realize that this is what's going on with Iowa women's basketball right now, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I think, Iowa women's basketball has always been such an incredible program, and just to be able to see those girls play at the next level is really special. And, that's what we can do at Iowa, and the way that the coaches prepare us, whether we want to play at the next level or not, but prepare us to be our best, is truly awesome. And I think the player development here is pretty great.
Okay, so I'm a St. Ambrose grad, and rumor has it there may be a connection to St. Ambrose in your family. Your brother played at St. Ambrose, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
What years? Do you know? Make you think.
Yeah, I know. 2018 to 2022.
Okay, so if your brother and you went outside right now and play basketball, who's winning?
Me, obviously. That's not even a question.
I was going to say, shooting contests, one-on-one, all of it?
Yeah, all of it. He's a little bit bigger than me, so he would probably try and back me down or something, but I got that.
You didn't even hesitate. Are you beating him on a regular basis?
Yeah, for sure. I used to play with his team when I was a little girl, so
yeah, no,
I'm used to it.
I love it. I absolutely love hearing that. Well, I got some fun questions for you before I let you go, and I appreciate you jumping on with us on Off at the Air. If you just get done with a big game and you want to celebrate or, treat yourself and you need to go eat and you want to cheat and eat and just be, what's that cheat meal? What's that like guilty pleasure when it comes to food that Sydney has to hammer?
I would say probably like a burger or pizza.
Okay. Is there any certain place in Iowa City or anything like that that's your favorite?
Polly Ice Pizza is my favorite for sure. I love that place.
All right. I love it. If you could have dinner with one person in the world, whoever you wanted to, one meal, who would it be and why?
Oh gosh, probably Michael Jordan.
And
I love him. I watched all of his documentary and whatnot.
Okay, so if I ask this question, and I ask it a lot on the show, and younger people give the wrong answer, who's the GOAT?
Michael Jordan.
Oh, Sydney, well done.
Are you going to say LeBron?
No, but you'd be surprised. Young people, for some reason, think that LeBron's the GOAT. You had the right answer. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Are you superstitious in playing the game of basketball? And if so, what superstitions do you have?
I honestly don't really have any superstitions. Just go with the flow. Typically, our game day routine is pretty strategic. So I guess in that way, we have breakfast and shoot around and, maybe if it's a late game, sometimes a nap. But other than that, nothing specific.
Got it. Pre-game music. Was there any pre-game music that you had to listen to? And if so, what was it?
I usually listen to country, honestly, on the bus because I was already hyped up enough. I didn't need to, get any rap going to get me more excited than I already was.
Awesome. I love it. Have you guys started workouts? Did you guys start this weekend or this week?
It starts June 16th.
Okay, so a couple weeks away. Before I let you go, what will that be like with people that were teammates last year? Are you going to will it be a little different? Will it be the same? Talk about what the future holds here in just a couple weeks when it comes to Coach Affolter. Are you gonna make them call you Coach?
We'll see. I think it obviously will be very different, but the team last year was already very young. And there's a lot of new people coming in too that are young. So just being a senior captain last year, I think, they all have a lot of respect for me and, trust my opinion and, value what I have to say. So I don't think that'll be a problem. Obviously I'm friends with all of them, so that might be a little weird, but I think it'll be great. Obviously I'm excited for all of them and they're going to do great and I'll always have their best interests at heart.
I love that. But make sure you establish your authority, Sydney. Like make them run, make them do suicides, all those kind of things. If they don't if you're out for dinner, and they don't buy your meal, then they run the next day, right?
That's right.
I love it. Well, Sydney, thank you for taking the time to do this. I know that the Iowa fan base was super excited to hear the news that you were staying at the University of Iowa as a grad assistant. Best of luck. Do big things, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much. Good to
All
talk
right.
to you.
Thank you. That is Sydney Affolter, former Iowa basketball standout, and now a grad assistant at the University of Iowa. I'm excited to see how she does with her college basketball coaching career coming up right around the corner. So we got more to get to. You're watching Off the Air on a rainy, soggy Tuesday right here in the Quad Cities. We'll be back right after this. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with.
Saturday night, June 14th, the Steamwheelers face off against the Parade in an IFL battle that's going to rock the vibrant arena. And it's Digital Bobblehead Night, presented by XUSD Blockchain. All fans in attendance with an active MetaMask digital wallet will score a limited edition Steamwheelers NFT bobblehead, a one-of-a-kind collectible you can't get anywhere else. High-flying IFL action and digital collectibles? Now that's next-level game night. Grab your tickets now at steamwheelersfootball.com/tickets.
The PGA Tour swings into the Quad Cities again this summer, and you don't want to miss it. The John Deere Classic brings golf, music, magic, and more to TPC Deer Run, July 2nd through the 6th. Wednesday, July 2nd is Youth Day, and ages 15 and under are free all week, making it perfect for the whole family. Stick around after the golf on the weekend for the concerts on the Course Series, featuring country superstar Dierks Bentley on Saturday, and Grammy Award-winning Zach Brown Band on Sunday. Come for the golf, stay for the party. Visit JohnDeereClassic.com to get your tickets before they sell out.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Tuesday in the Quad Cities. A fun Tuesday. It's been on OTA. Looking outside and it's just absolutely pouring. So the beauty thing is that we finished that interview with Sydney and we didn't have anything freeze up. I thought for sure right when the interview started, like there was a big bolt of lightning and like it just started pouring outside. I'm like, okay, here goes the internet. But so must be some good living out here because we survived with that. A huge thank you to Sydney for joining us on the show. Of course, just capped off a fantastic career at the University of Iowa, and now will be a grad assistant next year. So kind of talked about how that came to be, her coaching styles, and then obviously reflecting on her fantastic career at the University of Iowa. So we thank Sydney for joining us. If you missed it, go back and check that out. We started the show with the big news of yesterday from the John Deere Classic. The John Deere Classic and the PGA Tour have agreed to an extension through 2030 that'll make sure that golf is right here in the Quad Cities. until 2030, which is huge news. Craig DeVrieze was on to talk about it. I want to remind everybody, check out his book. Magic Happened. He left this with me with his awesome. I've read good chunks of it, but I'm going to read the whole thing now because I'm super excited about that. But golf is alive and well in the Quad Cities. Great stability moving forward. Obviously, huge excitement this year with the John Deere Classic. Andrew Lehman, Ashley Hansen, their team out there, doing an amazing job. So really excited to see where the John Deere Classic, how it does this year and how it continues to grow. And to have a PGA Tour event here in the Quad Cities is something that we should not take for granted, and we don't. The Quad Cities, the people, the charities, it's supported so well, which makes it really, really cool each and every year. We also talked to Alleman tennis standout Nicholas Partick, undefeated high school career, 4 state championships. He gets ready to go to Notre Dame next. Always fun to chat and listen to him and talk with him as well. So I'm a full show today. Coming up tomorrow, we got a lot to get to. It'll be Steamwheeler Wednesday. We'll be joined by a couple of UT standouts, Michael Pomasi and Aiken Logo. Michael finished as a state champion this past weekend, and Aiken finished second in the triple jump. Really fun interview. We'll have that on tomorrow as well. Also tomorrow we'll be joined by Mara Downey, who is with John Deere. We'll talk more about this continuing extension of the John Deere Classic, so that'll be fun as well. And then either tomorrow or the next day, we'll have Pat Anger on, and we're going to do a joke swap. And I'm pretty excited about it. We both got our jokes to Tom Caker to make sure we don't get in too much trouble. So basically, I wrote 3 jokes for Pat. Pat wrote 3 jokes for me, and we're going to read them live, just like they do on SNL, and hopefully we don't get in too much trouble as well. So that'll be coming up either Wednesday or Thursday here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. A lot to get to. Throwback Thursday this week. Efforting, I think we're going to have Tom Cornelis on. So that'll be fun as well on Thursday. So a lot to get to this week as well. We got a little bit of a late start this week. No show on Monday. Thank you again to the John Deere Classic. A great Champions Day out there yesterday. Davis Thompson joined us virtually. The big announcement about the extension. We also got to check out the bobblehead, which I don't know if Andrew is listening, is watching, still watching, but I like bobbleheads. So hopefully he makes sure that we get our bobblehead up here real soon. So, and then they let us golf, and I really enjoyed a round of golf with not only my good friend Scott Weiss, but Claire Peterson and general manager out at Deer Run, Todd Hyduk, who's a fantastic dude. Really good golfer as well. So a lot of fun yesterday. So a later start to the week for us, but great show today. A lot of fun, and we'll have much more to get to coming up throughout the week right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. And don't forget, I know you saw the promo, but coming up on June 27th is the Rally for Reed golf outing, not golf outing, sorry, football camp. Get signed up for that as soon as you can, and help raise money for a great cause, but it's a great event with some Hawkeyes as well. So get signed up for that. Go to rallyforreed.org and get your kids signed up and support the heck out of that event, because year number 5, and listen to Jake. I mean, they're hoping to raise over $300,000 total in 5 years after this year. So help them help kids dealing with and battling with cancer. So, and also I usually promote the Guy Randazzo Memorial Golf Outing. We are officially sold out, which is awesome to say. 36 teams ready to rock and roll. We will let anybody know if any teams open up, if anybody drops out. But I know people have asked if there's still availability. Not right now, but we'll keep everybody posted if there is. But if you would love to still help out and still donate, go to GuyRandazzoGolf.com. There's sponsorship things there for whole sponsors and all those kind of things as well. So thank you in advance, everybody, for the support of the Guy Randazzo Memorial Golf Outing. My favorite weekend of the year. Not just because it's Father's Day, not just because I'm golfing with a lot of great people, but also because I get to remember and celebrate my old man, who was the best of the best. So we'll see everybody out at Highland Springs on June 14th that have gotten signed up as well. So thank you guys for watching today's show. And of course, we thank you guys for watching. But as always, we thank our sponsors who allow us to do this show each and every day. Snoops is fantastic. The Quad City Steam Wheelers, they got back on track this past weekend as well. Oh, by the way, we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Godfather's Pizza, Andy Furman, one of the best of the best. Rafferty Funeral Home, Kevin Rafferty and company, awesome people, fantastic business as well. And then, of course, Hungry Hobo as well. So make sure you support them as a thank you for supporting us here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, this show that we do every weekday at 10 a.m. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow for another edition of Off the Air.